Hi everyone, Maury Mole here, and this is my review of the D-0 plush droid toy with the clip and my recap of the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker trailer. You can skip to the 1 minute mark to get straight to the recap. Anyways, this little plush toy of D-0 is around, so far, $4 to $8. I got him at Target. I'll put an affiliate link at the bottom where you can get him yourself. If you make a purchase, I may make a commission. Anyway, he's pretty well made, easily cleaned. You can hang him anywhere. D-0 comes from the planet Kijimi, from a droid factory. Little dispute over whether Babu Frick or BB-8 makes him, according to some merch information. But that's where he comes from, and he's cute, and he really loves BB-8. I really like the details on this little toy, from the little wheel and the gears. But anyway, yeah, he's really cute and a really great little toy. Okay, getting started with the Rise of Skywalker trailer recap. First, we see Rey running through the jungle. I believe she's training with the ball droid that was in A New Hope, and she's just dropped her helmet. I don't recognize that particular helmet, but I love how the scene transitions into another scene where Rey is just now jumping into the Death Star remains. And then we skip over to a scene with Finn. Next, we see Finn, and Finn is looking ahead at something, I don't know what, but the planet behind him looks like that watery ocean moon. I think it's called Caspir, where the Death Star's remains and wreckage have fallen, so I think he's looking in that direction. I've seen other images where Janna is in this scene, so both of those characters are there, and that's what this looks like to me. Okay, this looks like a Resistance base. I don't know where it is in the storyline, but if you look closely, you can see Lando Calrissian is here, and also Maz to the right, and Poe Dameron. And I think he's got that bandana wrapped around his arm, so I think this takes place after the Pasana scene earlier in the film. And I'm trying to see if there's any other characters in here, but I can't tell. But I'm going to guess that this is where a lot of the characters will meet, and they will formulate their plans against the First Order. Okay, this is a big scene here. We finally get to see Rose Tico in a scene. I don't think this is the same Resistance base we saw a minute ago. I don't know where this is. But if you look behind her, you see Billy Lord's character, Lieutenant Connix, and off to her side is Dominique Monaghan's character. I think his name is Beaumont, and I'm getting that from an upcoming Star Wars Adventures comic. If you look to the immediate left, it's a little blurry, but you see a child. And on the farthest left, there is also one of those horse creatures that was featured earlier from the Caspir Indoors moon. So they've got these space horses on this ship or hangar, and these children. So this might be like a rescue mission. Maybe they rescue some captured children, or children are getting involved. And I think Rose looks worried here. I think maybe she's waiting to see if Finn is about to escape or come with her. Maybe this is an evacuation. And maybe that's why it looks like Beaumont is trying to yell at Rose, like, come on, we gotta go. That's what this scene looks like to me. Okay, next scene is just Finn, Poe, and Chewbacca standing in front of an orange X-Wing. It looks like that jungle base that was at the start of the trailer, so I think this is just a Resistance base. Remember, J.J. Abrams says the movie starts at this base. I don't think this is from the beginning of the movie. I think this is later in the film, because look at Poe. He's got that bandana wrapped around his arm where he gets that injury. So I think they go back to the base at some point. Maybe they went over there in that orange X-Wing. By the way, the merch shows R2-D2 in that X-Wing, so it looks like R2-D2 is pairing with Poe. I'm guessing BB-8 hangs out with the rest of the crew while Poe goes and does his own thing. So I just want to call your attention to that bandana. That kind of gives us a little bit of hint of where the action is in this movie. Oh, look, it's a Tantive. It's one of those Corellian Corvettes, and it looks like the Jungle Planet again. So I think our Resistance base has a Tantive. It can't be Tantive 4 from the original trilogy, because I heard that one got destroyed. So maybe it's a Tantive 3 that Bail Organa, Leia's father, had, I'm guessing. But cool. It's cool to see one of these Corvettes in this movie again. Okay, here's what we get started with one of the really big scenes for this movie. So far, we've got the ocean that is on that ocean moon Kef Bir outside of Endor, and we've got these huge churning waves. And I think this fight that's going to start is going to be a sort of metaphorical callback to the Revenge of the Sith fight scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin, where there's fire and lava. But we're going to get healing water this time, and I think instead of a dissolution, as in the ending of the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, I think in this fight towards the end, I believe Rey and Kylo are going to come together or come to an understanding. So this is a pretty powerful environment and scene. I understand it took the actors a day or two to film this, and they all talk about how they got super soaking wet. So Rey is over here, and she's looking pretty intense. You can see there's a cannon in the background, and she is ready to fight Kylo Ren. And we see Kylo Ren is going to come up. This is an amazing shot where he comes out of the fog with this brilliant orange-red cross-shaped lightsaber, and he's soaking wet like a poor, drenched cat. But he looks determined. He doesn't look super angry. He definitely looks upset. But I notice he's taking his lightsaber and turning it backwards. I don't know if he's trying to signify, I don't actually want to hurt you, or if it's just a dramatic flourish, because he is a Skywalker after all, and that's what Skywalkers do. They're dramatic and twirl their lightsabers and make a big deal out of everything. Okay, I have to say this is one of my favorite shots of this trailer. This ice asteroid looking place is gorgeous, just gorgeous. And at first it looked to me like ice mountains reflected on water, but if you want to look closely at the bottom, it's not. In fact, I think this is a vertically flipped image. So if you turn it over, you can see little cities made of ice. And I think when we watch this movie, we'll get to see the camera flip over to look at it. And again, this is just beautiful. I love the use of blues in this movie trailer. I notice it's a definite color theme that's going on here. Blues and oranges and reds. Okay, this is the most lit up caption I can make for this throne. This is definitely has to be Darth Sidious's Emperor Palpatine's throne. It's based on an early McQuarrie art piece, one of his concept drawings. And if you look closely at the center, you can see the new Sith emblem that has been showing up in a lot of the Rise of Skywalker media. I'm kind of surprised it took this long to get a Sith symbol, but it is in the middle of the chair if you look closely. Okay, this scene has a gazillion ships that I couldn't possibly name. Other people have done a better job of this than me. You can see the Millennium Falcon in the middle on the front with its new round dish. It lost the last dish in The Last Jedi. I'm told there's also a ship called the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels, and it really looks like the Colossus to me on the far right from Star Wars Resistance. I think they threw every ship in the kitchen sink in this shot here. Okay, and this is Chewbacca, Rey, and Poe, and behind her is C-3PO, and behind Rey is also Finn. So this is the Star Wars trio, as people like to call them, though it's obviously more than a trio for including Chewbacca and C-3PO. And I think Chewie and Rey have the cutest relationship. I just love how they interact with each other in all the films so far. Chewie definitely likes Rey, and Rey and Chewie just have a grand time. Pay attention also, Rey has that armband covering up that scar. I'm hoping we get to see that armband come off to see the scar underneath. I don't know if we will, but I just like to call attention to the fact that she's kind of hiding her feelings about the throne room from the last movie by covering up that scar, just as Kylo is covering himself up with that cracked mask. But yeah, just a shot of the trio, well, more than three, in the Millennium Falcon. Okay, it's back to that amazing fight that we saw first talked about in the Vanity Fair cover with all this crazy ocean going around. And this is Kylo, Rey fighting it out. No mask on Kylo, thank God. I don't know how this fight is going to end. I think they will come to an understanding of some kind. But again, absolutely great shot. Will be one of the best duels of the Star Wars trilogy. Okay, it took me a while to figure this out, but this little vessel, like I don't know why I call it a skiff or something. If you look closely, Rey is on that. I think she's either going to the battle with Kylo Ren or going to the Death Star, or she's leaving the scene. You could go either way. But this is the only clip we see of this particular little vessel that flies. But yeah, I just want to call attention to that fact that is Rey. And I had to blow this up to actually be able to tell that Rey was on that thing. Okay, so this is the super sad scene with C-3PO, and all the characters are looking like they're a little confused, but also like they're going to miss the guy. I hope C-3PO is not getting killed off. I think he's getting his mind wiped, or some people are saying he's getting maybe accessing some new memory, but I think there's a concern he's going to lose much of his memory. He's had his mind wiped a couple of times in the Star Wars movies. First, right after the prequel trilogy ended, and I think he might have gotten his mind wiped during the OT era, but I'm not 100%. But I think they're afraid, he's going to get his mind wiped with whatever's about to happen with him right now. And there's a little alien messing with the back of his skull there. That's Babu Frick. That's the one that might have made D-0, or at the very least, he owns the droid factory on Kijimi where D-0 comes from. Okay, here, Poe Dameron and Chewbacca and Finn are blasting at some stormtroopers. It's obvious they're on a First Order ship. I don't see where Chewbacca has his bandolier, so think about that for a little bit, because I'll show you why he might not have it. Okay, so next we have BB-8. I think he's on the planet Pisana near the start of the film. To his immediate left is a dye canister. In the trailer, he punches that and lets a bunch of dye go off to kind of mess with some stormtroopers. It's kind of a continuation of what we saw in the first teaser trailer, so this is part of that Pisana battle. Lando and Chewie. The next scene shows some battle scenes of the Star Destroyer and some big red light underneath, maybe some new tech, and probably one of my favorite scenes of the trailer. We see BB-8 leading a charge with Finn and Jannah on a Star Destroyer, riding those Orback horses. It's pretty trippy. They actually ride on top of the Star Destroyer. It's a pretty cool scene, and I can't wait to see it in the film. Okay, this is one of the key scenes of the trailer. Here we see Rey on the left and Kylo Ren on the right. They are in the old throne room of the second Death Star on Kef-Bir, the moon. And it's just a beautiful scene here. Looks like Kylo doesn't seem to be threatened at all. He doesn't have his lightsaber out. On the trailer, it looks like he's trying to talk. I don't know what he's saying. Some people think he's saying, like, I can help you. And Rey is over to the left. I don't know if this is the scene where she says no one understands her. And this is kind of something we've seen throughout the extended media, and even really hinted at The Last Jedi, that she's not as happy as she thought she would be with the Resistance. That doesn't mean the Resistance is bad necessarily, but I think she is missing that connection that she had with Ben Solo / Kylo Ren. And I think it's really amazing how Kylo Ren is standing where his grandfather Darth Vader stood all those years ago in the original trilogy. And I just want to point out that Rey is standing beside Palpatine's throne, and maybe that's symbolic too. Not trying to spoil anything, but I'm just throwing it out there. There's been a theory for a few years, that Rey is possibly connected to Palpatine, and it's a theory that's been around since The Force Awakens, especially with all the books about Jakku and Palpatine's interest. I've kind of thought for a while that Palpatine might be related to Rey, not necessarily genetically, but I think he may have had a hand directly or indirectly in her creation. So we'll see how that theory pans out when the movie comes out. But I do think it's pretty telling that they're standing in those places. Ha! It's Finn yelling Rey. You can see it in his mouth. I think either Rey has gone after Kylo to go fight him, or gone to the Death Star because she really wants to scavenge the hell out of that, or maybe she's leaving the scene with Kylo. My theory is she's leaving with Kylo because it would be a great callback to The Force Awakens, where Finn was yelling Rey as Kylo kidnapped her. And my theory is that Finn may see Rey go off voluntarily with Kylo. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my theory here. Okay, crazy scene. I have no idea what this could possibly be about. It looks like they're in a First Order room, all sparkling white. Kind of reminds me of the Tantive 3 also, but I don't think it is. I think this is definitely a First Order ship. So Kylo and Rey look to be destroying an obsidian stand or statue, and I'm pretty sure that's Darth Vader's helmet on top of it. I don't know if they're intentionally destroying it or if only Rey did. Looks like Rey definitely completed a sword sweep. Kylo looks more defensive here, and if you watch the trailer, it also looks like Kylo reaches up to his helmet, maybe to take it off or to get a better look at things, or maybe he's trying to keep that Darth Vader helmet, safe. And you can't see it in this clip, but behind them, Chewbacca's bandolier is on a shelf in the back. So I want to throw that out there. And on the right, you see a bunch of small, marbles or beads. So there's a rumor that there's a scene involving a necklace on Pisana that, it gets ripped off or torn off. And I'm wondering if that's the case, if that's the necklace beads on the floor. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, it's Finn, C-3PO, and Poe. I see the desert cave in the background, and we saw a little bit of the scene in April with the behind-the-scenes footage. It looks like the desert cave that's probably at the closer to the start of the movie. If you look closely, you can see Rey's blue lightsaber shine in Poe's eyes. I think they're looking at Rey maybe she's a little weird. They seem kind of uncertain. I'm wondering if Rey is doing something weird. My thoughts when the behind-the-scenes footage came out back in April, it looked like you could see Kylo Ren's lightsaber reflected in C-3PO's head, and they had all three of these characters had a very stern look on their face, what is he doing here? And I'm wondering if they're looking at, if Kylo is even still in the scene, or if they are looking at Rey maybe talking to Kylo. I'm not really sure, but that is definitely Rey's lightsaber eye shine in Poe's eyes. Okay, one of the single craziest scenes of this trailer, one of my favorites. Obviously, it's a big battle scene, probably near the end of the movie. Lightning everywhere, blue filter, and it's those Orback space horses, and they're running on top of a Star Destroyer. Are they in the sky? How are these horses handling that? That's crazy. I don't even know how this scene's going to go, but it's pretty intense and pretty wild. Okay, now we have this really amazing sequence of scenes. We start with a beautiful scene of Kylo Ren on, I'm guessing this is a planet called Exegol that has been talked about briefly in some blogs, and it might be the planet that Palpatine lives on or is staying on. It may also be the scene from the previous clip where we saw the lightning everywhere. Maybe Palpatine's creating that lightning, or maybe it's just a really thunder and lightning kind of planet. but I love seeing Kylo Ren illuminated. He looks very determined here. Notice his hair is a little wet, like it's still drying. I think this takes place after that ocean scene that we saw. And I think he's about to go towards Rey, or maybe he's about to go face Palpatine. And then in the next sequence, one of the best of the trailer, I think we all know that's Palpatine in the left-hand corner there. If you see the video, you can see where his fingers stick out a little bit. I don't know why they're not showing us Palpatine. Maybe he doesn't look like an old man. I kind of have a theory maybe he possesses bodies, so that could be what's going on here. Okay, now we get to the amazing last image of the trailer. It's Rey holding the lightsaber to her face, and I love how happy she finally is. She looks just rapturous, like in love. She looks almost like she does on the Vanity Fair cover. And my theory, I believe she is looking at Ben Solo. I think Ben has come to join the fight with her. I'm pretty sure she's on that world where Palpatine is, and I think he's coming there to help her fight him. Or, I mean, it could be a totally different scene in the movie, but I'm pretty sure that's what this scene is going to be. She just looks so full of joy, like that scene in The Last Jedi where she has a vision where she touches hands with them. And this looks like that. And if you see other captions of this where the light is brighter, it really comes through. You see tears in her eyes. And that's what I think this scene is. I think, and I love that this trailer ended on such a beautifully acted scene. And what's really interesting is I thought this trailer would be a little bit more bold in giving away scenes of the movie, and I'm amazed and surprised that they're holding this one pretty close to the vest here. A lot of movie trailers tell you everything that happens, and this one doesn't. This one doesn't. It does tell you little bits. You do realize that Rey is not happy. You do see that Kylo wants to help her in his own way, that he's still pursuing her. Maybe selfishly at this point, but I think that's going to change. But the rest of it, I mean, it's totally up in the air. That scene where they're destroying that helmet, I don't even have an idea of what that could possibly be about. And I don't know why Palpatine is not being shown to us. I have my ideas, but I don't really know. And it looks like he's on a weird mechanical thing. It just looks like it's going to be pretty wild. You know, I don't know how the Star Destroyers are where that horses can run on top of them. So this movie looks pretty wild, but it's definitely holding its secrets pretty close. I think we can get a general picture over where the story may end emotionally. I 100% believe Ben will be redeemed. I also think he has to live. I think it'd be depressing if Han and Leia's only son died, but I have no idea how they're going to get there and what the very ending of that film could possibly hold. So I'm just as in the dark and anticipating this film as you are. And so, anyways, yeah, put in the comments your thoughts. I've had a really lot of fun making this video. And you can check out below to find out where you can get your own plush deal. I really like the guy myself. And, yeah, have fun. See